furthering your education, which has really helped defer the cost and made grad school definitely a reality for me. I wasn't anticipating going straight to grad school, but whenever I had that opportunity, I realized that it was something that I wanted to take advantage of. So they've covered, I'd say, probably a little bit more than half of my cost, if not 3/4 of the cost of my graduate program, which has been extremely helpful. We also get a discount, I guess you could say, at the university because we're applied to Teach for America. So it's been really great to have that opportunity because I know that I wouldn't have been able to afford it right out of undergrad. And additionally, so I'm working full-time, and so I have that additional salary that I have, and then I can apply, my extra savings to paying off my part of the tuition.
That's very important. I told my class earlier, you should not pay for graduate school. You shouldn't. Okay, if your grades are stellar, you're doing activities, you're doing all the things that you need to do to get into graduate school, you should be applying for fellowships, assistantships, graduate research assistants, UTA positions at that level. You should have someone help you pay for the tuition or defer the tuition, whatever it is, whatever school you go to. Make sure that they're going to help you. If you're going as a traditional age student directly into a graduate school program full time, work at the institution if you need to. Another thing is, if you're not working at an institution, look for possible employment that would pay for you to go back to school and to study and to learn, because you're going to be an asset to their company as well as you're getting the education that you want. So please, don't pay for graduate school. Question over here?
Can I interject real quick?
Yes.
One of the biggest things that I think has helped is being able to network. I know we talk about it a lot in SSS, but that is what's going to get you those fellowships, those internships, someone saying, you know what, we really think that you have a lot of potential, we'd really like to help sponsor you through school. That's 100% of the way that you're going to get it. So yes, it is extremely important to have good grades and to be involved, but it's through those networking opportunities and people that you meet and sharing your vision for yourself. That's how you're really going to push yourself into those positions that are going to help pay for graduate school.
Fantastic.
So.
We have a question over here.
This question is for Wendy. She probably can't hear me, but on the Teach for America website, it says that for some of your loans that you currently have for school, companies recognize that as you being in school, and they allow you to defer your loans while you're working for Teach for America.
This question is for you, Wendy. We had a student ask. We had a student ask, how do you defer your loans through Teach for America? Does that actually happen?
Yeah, it actually does. Any federal loans can be deferred while you are teaching. Right now, I'm currently in a low-income community, and Teach for America targets low-income communities. And so, so it's either urban or low-income is what the terms of the loan forgiveness are. But it's deferred as you're still working there. And then there's actually a cancellation for your Perkins loans and for your federal Stafford loans. If you teach in a low-income community for 5 years, each year it's 20% of your loan is forgiven by the federal government. So currently I'm in my 3rd year of teaching. By the end of the next 2 years, next 2 school years, I'll have my Perkins loan and my Stafford loans forgiven. So definitely true.
Those are
And this
all,
is for my undergraduate loans, yeah.
that's all fantastic. But yes, service and opportunity. Those are gap year programs that we talked about specifically that help defer the cost of graduation. Can you ladies share specifically what is graduate school? What's going on in graduate school? The ups, the downs, the things that students should prepare for in reference to being in the process of going to graduate school and what to expect?
Pretty much however you guys feel when you're during finals week, it's like that all the time. So you're used to that. I'm not usually a coffee drinker, but I've drank a lot more coffee ever since I started grad school. You have to put in a lot more work, a lot more time, lot of my program, we have the problem-based learning part. We get a case, and whatever we put into it is what we're getting out of it, pretty much. So you do have to do a lot of the work by yourself. Although there's going to be like facilitatory help and stuff, and then your classmates are some of the biggest resources because you're with them constantly. They're learning the same things as you. You can just ask one of them to come with you, so you can like work on them or feel something on their body, and it's fun sometimes. And some of the classes are probably the classes are going to be more interesting than probably what you're doing now, because it's something that's pertaining to your future and what you want to do, but it's a lot more work, definitely.
If you do, it depends. Most of the classes, I don't know how Pitt is with their undergraduate, but the classes are 2 hours and 45 minutes to 3 hours. Some of them are night classes because some schools have a lot of part-time people, so they have classes. I mean, my classes are 7 to 10. 7:15 to 9:55. So that's a little bit getting used to the fact of working until, working a full day and then going to class until 10 o'clock at night. So time management is a large thing. I definitely agree. The classes are definitely more interesting because it's what you want to do and you really absorb it. Depending on what program you're in, like the work, it's a lot of reading and it's a lot of being responsible for yourself. These teachers they expect that you're a graduate student now. You're not undergrad, so they're not going to send out reminders. They're not going to be like, oh, I forgot to email you my paper. Some of them will be, some lenience, but it's really, you're an adult. Like, you're not just age-wise an adult, you're an adult in this school, so we're gonna hold you to that, and you can't make excuses. You have to just do the work, and if like basically in graduate school, a C is failing. So, I mean, that kind of puts into perspective academically. The expectations are A's and even B's are kind of like, there might be that one class that everyone gets a B because it's so hard, but the majority of the time they're expecting A paper, A work from the beginning. But they do help you. I mean, my professors help us. But that's kind of my experiences right now.
Wendy, can you share your experience about being in graduate school?
Yeah, I think, and whoever just spoke right before me said that you were treated as an adult because you are an adult, but I think even more importantly, you're treated as a professional because you're now being viewed as, entering a professional field, and your professors are professionals, your colleagues are professionals, and so there's this atmosphere of respect, I think, in graduate school, that your ideas are respected and, you have a lot to bring to the table. Additionally, that also means that there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with it. You have to come to class prepared, not just, skimming over the article that you were to read, but to actually come with questions and your own reflections on that. I think, like I said, one of the biggest things about graduate school is, yes, you do the assignments, but also then you reflect on them. And that's really how you're going to get the most impact from what you're learning. I've also had professors who, my first year of teaching, my classes were structured very differently from last year's classes and this year's, because my first year, they wanted to help us be prepared for the classroom that day in the school. And so they, as professionals and as professional teachers, were giving us, why don't you try this? Consider this technique. You're having this trouble with this student. Why don't you try and try this approach? And so they were being mentors as well as professionals. And, some of my professors wrote textbooks. They had spoken at lectures that I had gone to. So it's a different atmosphere, but it comes with, heightened respect, but also heightened responsibility.
Are there any questions anyone would like to ask right now in reference to graduate school on their experience?
Just let me tell you, if someone has a question but they don't want to ask it, I'm guaranteeing the majority of you have the same question. So if somebody's just, ready to speak up, you'll be helping out your fellow classmates because I'm sure people have the same questions. I guess not.
Let's talk about your major in graduate school. I'm talking from undergrad to grad. Do you have to have a specific major? Talk about that.
I was a rehab science major at Pitt, and that flowed really nicely into PT school. But really, as long as you got the requirements that the schools you were going to apply to were done, you could be any major. You could be a dance major and still do it. You could have been a psychology major and done it. Like, you just have to figure out what requirements the schools want, because not all the schools have the same requirements.
Yeah, I was a history major, so I did some teaching. So going into higher ed was kind of a little bit of the same rounds, but I just did interviews today for interns for my program, and one had a political science, one had a communications, and one had sports management. And now they're all in this higher education program. So none of them came directly from an education. So if you do well in your undergraduate and you parlay that in the writings that they ask of you, like your career statement, or they'll call it a purpose statement, or, if you can say, listen, I learned, even though I have sports management, I can really parlay that into education, they're gonna take that and say, okay, this, they're making the best of it. So you don't always have to have the same. Sometimes it's better to kind of, be a little bit different, but, like I said, mine was history, now I'm in education, so.
I would agree with that being different is a good thing. Like, I know I have a friend, she wants to go to medical school, but she's a religious studies major, which you think at her, like, why aren't you doing bio? Why aren't you doing chem? But, I mean, it's something different. And when she writes her essay, she can bring a different aspect to the table and not just talk about I took all these biology classes and I know I'm meant to be a doctor, but say, I like people and different types of people and learning how culture and medicine blends. And I would accept her. Like, who's doing that? Like, that's random, but it's kind of cool at the same time. But I'm a little less boring. I mean, I'm a little more boring. I was psychology, so psych is very broad. You can really do anything you want to do. And I'm going to public health, which is also very broad, and you can do a lot of different things. But that's more for me, just because I like flexibility. I don't really want to just be stuck in one place where I have to do one job. I want to be able to do a lot of different things if I want to. So that's it.
Wendy, can you talk about your major in reference to your undergraduate major and how it reflects to you going to graduate school in your area? Or is there a correlation?
I think that there's a correlation. So I went to school for Africana Studies was my primary major, and then I did my Bachelor of Philosophy, the DPhil program at Pitt, with my focus on global economics and governance, and then I kind of turned that into education policy. So I would say my thesis itself is really closely tied. It was looking at, the role that non-governmental organizations or just nonprofits play on education, but in Kenya. So not technically applying that now, but I also am teaching English language learners. About half of my class are students from other countries, primarily Portugal and Caribbean. So I have a lot of students that are from Puerto Rico, Guatemala, Honduras. And so I think that has really helped me, because a lot of my classes for Africana Studies were talking about cultural diversity and understanding some of the stigmas that are placed on students and families, depending on their different backgrounds, socioeconomic differences. So I think that I came into my teaching position with that background knowledge and just kind of having that, cultural sensitivity and awareness, and realizing that these problems, exist in the different communities compared to, what I grew up in, small white suburbia town. So I definitely say that I transferred a lot of the things that I learned in undergrad to my graduate program, and my interest that I've taken for the classes for my graduate program, I've taken a lot that focus on my students at English language learners. So I would say that there's a correlation, but some may say it's a little bit far-fetched.
Any questions? Okay. Could you share with the class in reference to activities that you do at graduate school? Or what happens during graduate school? You help me with this one. What happens at graduate school?
So since we're a physical therapy class, honestly, we're gonna be touching each other a lot. We're typically like half naked all the time. So you have to get really comfortable with yourself and with other people. They wanna make sure that you have experience touching the male body as well as the female body and not be, I don't know, squeamish is the right word, but because there are parts of the body that we have to touch that are close to areas that you probably don't want people to be by. So, like I've touched my friends' butts, their pubic tubercles, which is by their genital areas. You touch their chests, and you kind of have to be very professional about it, but at the same time, you can still kind of have fun and joke around, but probably like after class, not during.
From my experience, there's a lot of late night study parties. So maybe if we're all in the same class and we have like a group project, or you kind of come in these cohorts where you start, wherever class you start, you kind of go along with the same group of people throughout the classes, which is nice because when you form these bonds, you know, you can say, okay, Friday night, we're gonna study until 7 and then we're gonna go to happy hour because we need to not study for 5 minutes and, you know, whatever, non-alcoholic or alcoholic drink, you know, whatever you need. But that's kind of what we do, you know, we'll set up, my friends and I will say, okay, we're all gonna meet at 5 and stay at the library till 7. So it's kind of like doing that, doing a lot of reading. Each school has like the School of Education sends out emails, they do scavenger hunts, they have happy hours, they do weekend dinner party, you know, like they have, like the school that you're in probably has a lot of social activities also. So I suggest taking advantage of those because 1, it's a way to meet other people, 2, it's a way to de-stress. If you know, I'm a high stress person for some reason, so I need that time to go out with, you know, my friends and kind of joke like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, the professor expects us to do this, and you can kind of joke about it and somebody understands you. Like you can't call home, I can't call home to my parents because I have, you know, 4 sets of parents, none of them went to college. So I can't go home and be like, oh, you know, when I tell my mom, oh, I just wrote this paper and I'm drained and I just need this, she's like, that's, you know, like, I just took care of, we have 5 dogs, oh, we just took care of the puppies. It's not, they don't correlate, they don't understand that frustration of, oh, this person in class said this and I really was arguing because I was totally against them and it was this great experience and the class was, you know, they don't get that. So having your cohort, having some people within that makes it, you know, you can talk to them and say, I touched my friend's boob today and it was not uncomfortable, you know, things like that. So that's kind of how my schooling is, but it's also personal. I have friends that don't want to do that they go out and we'll have fun, but we don't talk about school. They don't study with anybody. They do it on their own. So it's, you know, it's a personal, you make it what it is.
I haven't.
She doesn't.
She's getting, but I like it. I like hearing what you got to say.
How about you, Wendy? What do you do in reference to activities? Are there any activities that you can do? I know you work a full-time job also and go to school.
I mean, I like to have fun as well. I'm actually, after this, I'm going to go, you know, hang out with one of my friends from Teach for America, who also teaches at my school. So we do see each other, we hang out, we go to Providence and go see musicals and stuff like that. We're going to a show this weekend. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration on the projects that we do, so it's nice because 3 of my best friends are in the same program that I'm in. So I see them all the time. I know I can call them and ask them questions, and I mean, we hang out. We, you know, not to the same extent as I was in college. I think that, you know, when I go to bed at 9:30 on a Friday night now, kind of pathetic, but the reality of it, at least all my friends are doing the same thing, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, we do the same things. We hang out, we go out on the weekends, sometimes we'll have, our professors have invited us to, we'll come to this lecture, or let's meet at this restaurant and we'll have our class there. We'll bring our articles, we'll discuss, and we'll have dinner while we were discussing the article that we were reading. So, yeah, and you actually become friends with your professors, which is pretty cool. Like, not friends where, I call them up and I'm like, hey, let me tell you about my date last night. But, we have some boundaries though, but I have all my professors' emails and phone numbers, and we've called to meet up for drinks and such. So it's a different relationship, I'd say, than the undergrad professor-student relationship.
Question? It's important that you have a balance in graduate school, because if not, you will burn. You will be so tired of school. Balance is so important. So if you like art, something artsy, or if you're an extreme sports person, or do that. Please interject that in your life, because if not, you get lost in graduate school and you get discouraged, because this is my life. It's like, yeah, just for a little while. It's important that you do that. Final thoughts, ladies, that you want to share with the students in reference to the graduate school experience, or getting into graduate school, something that they should know, or just something you want to share.
Work hard, have fun.
Yeah, just do your research. Research is big prior, before, during, after, because after you graduate, then you have to get a job, because now you have more loans to pay off. So just being up on all your research, and have fun. Make it fun. If you're in a class that you're struggling in and you reach out to that professor, find a connection that you can talk about, or find a friend that you can talk to, and go out and, cry about it, but then do the work. Just, balance.
Any final thoughts, Wendy, you want to share?
I would say, just reflecting back, I was looking forward to this tonight. It was great to be able to talk. And a lot of the things that SSS told me, all 4 years of college, I took it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll network, I'll talk to my advisors and, get some resources from them. But you have a huge resource network in front of you. And although, obviously, I wouldn't have been able to get into Teach for America if it wasn't for, shout out, Beth McLaughlin and James Scott. They pushed me into it. They, held my hand through the process. When I got waitlisted, they, sat there and let me cry a little bit. But take advantage of it, because they're going to help you find what direction is best for you when leaving school. Like I said, those two were and the whole SSS family, but those two were my godsend my senior year. They definitely were the support that got me through that senior year and helped me figure out what I wanted to do. And I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, I have no idea what I want to do after I graduate, and that's okay. The best way to figure it out is to talk to people around you, and that's going to kind of help put you in the right direction. And if graduate school is the way to go, then go for it. But go wholeheartedly and, give it your 100% and give it your all, and it'll work out for you.
Thank you, ladies, so very much. That's the end of our graduate school workshop. We thank you for your time. On your way out, please leave your pink evaluation form on the round table